I get a standing ovation. Whoa. I am honored to be here. Thank you for the warm welcome. Yes, so we've listened to some really beautiful testimonies from Lanyang and Sunmi. Thank you for accepting to go on this journey, this trip. And of course, I feel like, yeah, I think it was a needed trip. And for me, it wasn't about like, who goes. It was just who was ready to respond at that time. It was very last minute, and the whole community actually responded. You all supported us through donations, and we're really grateful for that. So thank you so much. It wouldn't have happened without you. And Sunmi and Lanyang were great. We went around Korea. I wanted to show you just some photos. There it is. Oh, it's not on. Oh, there we go. So this was us at the airport before we left. Ready for a 12-hour trip or flight. Actually, I realized it was way closer than from going from the East Coast. So I was really grateful. And actually immediately we landed. We had rented a car, so we drove to the detention center. And it was a little bit confusing because there was this thing happening here. People were shouting and all that, and I was like, "Is that us?" Like we were so confused actually, and so we decided to just walk around, and then we found us, which was more who we are. We were very centered. The other one was actually a protest for the former president. That was happening there at the detention center. So on the right is the former President Yoon's group supporters, and then on the left is our movement. We set up a tent there, 2 tents. One with the brother that has set up the Chonshimwon for members to go offer prayers before joining maybe the prayer vigil, or just once you get there, you're able to offer a prayer. And actually, right at this time, we went out for dinner, and this restaurant is right just around the detention center, and it's called Eunmijong. And so that's how actually the detention center wasn't showing up on the map, and this is how we could find it. And so we went to Eunmijong, and it was pretty full actually, and we didn't speak Korean. We were so confused. I've never ordered food in a Korean restaurant before in Korean, and so I was just like, anything with bulgogi. That's all I knew. And so I just said, they asked us, what do you want? And I don't know even if that's what they asked, and all I said was bulgogi, and they were like, okay, go and sit. And then they served us bulgogi soup, and right as we were about to eat, I received a text from a friend of mine who lives in Korea, and he was saying, hi there. And I was like, oh, wait, the universe, what's happening? How does he know I'm here? And then he starts calling me. I decide to look up, and he was right there. And so I went to say hi, and turns out everybody in the restaurant was a second generation. They were having dinner together. And so I went to say hi to my friend, and he introduced me to the leader that was there, and the leader was like, go ahead and eat, I'll pay for it. I'll pay for your food. And so, that day, we got a free meal right after arriving in Korea. And then, later was when we went to, when we found where our community was. And we were able to meet this he is actually a Tongil Mudo instructor. Not necessarily the founder, but he worked together closely with the founder. He kind of founded Tongil Mudo together with Dr. Suk, who's the original founder. And so he has been there since day one of the, and I didn't even ask any questions about, how do you do it? But he's been there, he's always there. He set up in the beginning, like, I think it was Sunmi who was sharing that it started as just, the picture, and then later it evolved, and now there's candles, and it's a tent, there's a heater, so it's really warm in there. And he was very accommodating, kept giving us food. We had dinner, and then just wanted to pray. And after he was just like, Mo, eat. And but we didn't want to reject it, so we just kept receiving. Also because he was persistent. And we had a nice conversation. I was really struggling because I felt like I was putting everyone in a position to have to accommodate us because we didn't speak Korean. So it was like they had to find their English and the English in them to connect with us. And I couldn't find any Korean in me apart from 안녕하세요. And but I was really grateful that the Korean people are very accommodating, very accepting, and willing to just want to connect with people in that way. And in the tent there was also this older first gen. I forgot which blessing, but was he 84 from the 430 blessing, right? Yeah, he was around 84 years of age, or young, 84 years young. And it was really moving. He'd been traveling to different parts of the world. He served mainly, his mission country or continent was in South America. And he started speaking English, and I was like, whoa. In my heart, I was like, whoa, God, I'm making an 84-year-old man figure out how to connect with us in English. But he did really well. He wanted to hear us, learn about us, and also share and guide us. So I really appreciated that. And then we did some bonding activities. This was actually a library in Korea. It's called the Starfield Library. Really beautiful, especially during this time of the year. And as we were there, there were just young people mostly around taking selfies and pictures. And, I think we were all thinking the same thing. I wonder how many people are actually here to read a book. And everyone was just taking selfies and pictures. So, and I think that was a good, and there were a lot of tourists too, or foreigners in Korea. And if you've watched Demon Hunters, that's a really big theme right now. There was that cat and the bird and Sunmi. And then later that day, we went to meet with the LA team. That's Pastor Mark Tingen from LA and their team. Actually, the young people had gone out to outreach at this time. Just as we got there, the young people were leaving, and so we met with Pastor Mark and their team. We were just planning for the next day, which was outreaching. We're going to join them in the outreaching activities. We just wanted to test it out. And this time their approach was different. In the beginning, I was a little bit skeptical or afraid for my team because I didn't hear good stories about the outreaching activities that they did with the Korean pastors. And so I didn't want them to go through that kind of hurt. But when we talked to them, they were planning to outreach to international pastors. And so that was more like, okay, maybe we could try this one out. And so we did, after a good meeting the next day, that morning, just our team went to visit one cathedral. It was the Seoul Anglican Cathedral, and we met with the pastors. So the LA team already made appointments with different pastors, international pastors. So we went to this appointment just as our team, and he was a really great pastor. He's a Korean pastor, and his name was Pastor James Park. And we got there and we were asking for Pastor James Park, and they didn't know who that was because his name is actually Sungsun Park. And so, but we met with him, and he was very nice, very accommodating. When we told him we were from the Unification Church, his posture changed, but he didn't say a thing. He kept listening to us. And we invited him to the KCLC event. He did say that he was busy, but he told us, your church, you're in a difficult situation right now. We told him, we responded and told him, and I think this was a different experience from what I was hearing about the Korean pastors. He held all his comments. Maybe it's because we were young and, really, especially like here when Lanyang or Sunmi speak, like soft voices, like how do you just kick 3 girls out of your church like that? So I think, he took the time to hear us out, and we had a really nice conversation, and I felt really good about it too. Then later he encouraged us to tour the cathedral. We went and toured it. I didn't take any pictures because there was one lady who was just following me as she was showing us around, but she was following me specifically, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So, but anyways, she was also really, really nice, and she brought us up here. She said, there's a really beautiful view here. So she took us upstairs, and she was like, let me take a picture of you. So I took a picture, and and as we were about to leave, I thought, are we just gonna leave without saying who we are? Later in the elevator, we told her we were from the Unification Church, and I said it in Korean, and she just like chuckled. She was like, "Oh, your Korean's so good," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess that's not a problem." And it was a really good experience connecting with them. Then later, together with the whole LA team, or part of them, young people, we went to to meet another pastor. He's actually he's from Gabon, and this church is a Nigerian church, and their congregation meets here. And he took the time, right after work, he came to meet us. He was a really busy guy. And he took the time to meet us. We had a really nice talk, and we also invited him to the KCLC event. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to be there, but he said he would send a representative if possible, if they were available, because it was like we were meeting them, and the KCLC event is like the next day at 10:30. So, but the experience itself is what made it what it was. And and then the next day we went to, actually, right after this, we met with a different group of the LA team, just the 3 of us, and went to visit another pastor. This was now later in the night, and that was a whole different experience, and that's why that's the title of my sermon, What is the Point? But then just really quick, KCLC event, it was really beautiful. A lot of Korean, it was good to see that there are a lot of different religious groups that are supporting religious freedom and also supporting True Mother at this time. And they recognize where the country is headed, and they recognize that this is an issue that needs to be addressed. It was really moving to see and hear different conversations, and this was a proclamation that was made. They even had a Buddhist monk who was part of the panel, and they all responded to different questions as well. And here we later realized our ACLC group was there as well, together led by Dr. Ashil and his wife, and we took a picture. as well. And then right after this, they invited us as we were about to leave. They were like, oh, we're going to sing tonight at the prayer vigil. Come join us. And we were like, oh, okay. So, yeah, that evening or afternoon, we drove to Chongpyeong. The weather was cloudy with a chance of snow, and later it did snow. But yeah, then we joined them on stage. We sang Every Praise together, and then later took a picture. Yeah, and that the next morning, actually that evening, it started snowing, and it looked really beautiful in the snow. I've never been to Chongpyeong in the winter, so yeah, this was a different sight. But yeah, as we were walking around, I thought, wow, it must be difficult to clean this place. Like you need a lot of staff in order to just scrape the ice off the floor in this huge complex. And there were a lot of volunteers. Oh no, there's no sound there. But that was actually really cool. In the mall, these deer were singing. Sai, is there a way to unmute that? No, in English. They were singing Christmas songs, and they were harmonizing together, too. It was so interesting. This one was singing, like, the lyrics, and the other one was harmonizing it. I wish you could hear it. Meet me after service if you want to hear it. Yeah, and as we were there, we also ran into different people. He is the brother on the left, is actually from Seattle. We were at Sunmoon. And, yeah, his name was David Malik. Yeah. You all know him. And it was great to meet him. We were walking in, and he was walking in, and then we just kind of started talking. And then later I took a picture with Dr. and Mrs. Akolatsi. And then took a picture with the bishop and the other Christian ACLC pastor who was there. He actually led the praise song. And then we ran into, in the convenience store, former pastor Harnett from Alaska. Him and his wife are in Chongpyeong right now doing the 40-day after they stepped down as pastors in Alaska. And then we ran into Reverend So, Inguk So. He was Dr. Young's assistant, if you remember. Right now, he's the Secretary General of IHQ. And then, with Uncle Julian Gray and his wife as well, we had a really nice breakfast together. Then before we left, we also wanted to just go back and offer prayer at the detention center. So we did, and again, this brother just gave us food and, drinks this time, and oranges, and, but yeah, and I think he forgot that he met us. He wanted to have us sign the book again, and he put us actually in a Korean Kakao Talk group chat, which keeps going off on my phone, but at least I get information now, one more plus. But yeah, we had a really good experience, which led me to this after meeting with the third pastor on Wednesday during our last outreach, was when this question came to mind. After when on our drive back, I was just like, what is the point? After sharing with him, we had a pretty, from beginning, he was already like, I know who you are, and, I've heard of you, and he had his own reservations and had this interesting posture, which actually, at some point, I was like, he had this really gray suit. I don't know, for some reason, he reminded me of Reverend Kevin Thompson, but completely different energy, though. And we talked about many different things, and they're a Pentecostal church, and he was very strong about some things, which normally when we were outreaching, I was like, okay, what can I learn from everybody I hear? And even with him, I was like, okay, what can I learn from him? He's talking about the Bible, and, he said they focus on the Bible. They go, literally everything about who they are is just the Bible, word for word. And they had disassociated with the original church, the PAW, I believe. It was PAW or PWA? PAW. Apostolic. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, yeah. So they stopped being part of the Pentecostal church. And yeah, he was just like, whoever doesn't believe in this goes to hell. And he was very strong. And, and when we brought up religious freedom, he was like, I feel like I'm a free man. And, he already said that in the beginning. Anyways, I was just listening to him in the beginning. And so at the end, I thought, Pastor Mark was about ready to go because he knew how, I guess he's done this a couple of times and he knows how these things go. So he was ready to go. And I was like, do we just leave him like this? Like with these kind of, for me, it felt very self-centered views. Like I was okay with his belief. I was, I understood, but I thought it was very self-centered. And I was like, how do you go beyond who you are, beyond your congregation, beyond yourself? And I felt like it's not right to just leave him. So I started asking questions. I started challenging him as well. First, I started lightly, and then later I started going back to different points that he made. And one of them was, his point about people going to hell because they don't believe in, certain parts of the Bible or, this and that. And then I went back to religious freedom because he said he was, free. And, I brought up all these other religious groups that are experiencing difficulty as well, not just us. And, after the conversation, when he was responding, he started to realize, I guess, from his response that, he could be affected too eventually. And he didn't come up with a good solution either, but he said, which was interesting, was that he said that God is going to let the basically satanic forces take over for 7 years and then come back after 7 years. And I thought, what? It was just so interesting that all these different views, and at that time, I asked myself, what's the point of living in this just for me, for myself, and for my congregation? And I really felt grateful about the teachings I grew up with, which is like, I know to live for others. Like, I feel happier living for others. I feel more fulfilled. And and so thinking just, I'm only here to please God and that's it in, my own capacity, I felt like that doesn't fulfill what we're here to do. We're all children of God. So if I see my siblings suffering, I wouldn't say, you're going to hell. I'd be like, how can I help you, right? And so I felt like that was missing. And, essentially, like all the different religions most of them at least, are talking about the same thing. Like the core point is God, reaching God, connecting with God. And after this, I felt like that's the problem. The problem is that we are divided. These views, he was very focused on the doctrine, that he couldn't think beyond doctrine. He couldn't think of the people. It was just the words in the book. And so, and I felt, that's the problem. Because of the division, we're unable to cooperate, to work together. And in that moment, I really appreciated our teachings. True Father, True Mother want to unite all religions in order for us to become one. That is the main point. To become one, to become children of God, centered on God. And everything Mother said from the beginning, actually, in the beginning, I didn't understand a lot of her words. And then later in the years, when I started to actually pay attention, I realized she always says the same thing: Heavenly Parent, children of Heavenly Parent, God's dream. You know, her speeches from 2012 are just the same thing, and it's like a repetition. It's like she needs to repeat it until it's like ingrained in our hearts, or engraved in our hearts for us to fully understand it. But the point is, who we are is, or our purpose, the whole point of us, our existence, is to connect with God and to become one with God. And that's why we say one family under God, because we are children of God. And so it's not just me for myself and everybody else for themselves, but it's me and us together, taking care of each other and growing together and loving each other and learning how to be children of God together. And so with that, I realized your why is important in order for you to just be a connected child of God. I read that and we've probably heard this a couple of times, if your why is strong enough, you'll find a way to overcome obstacles, because a powerful purpose provides the motivation, resilience, and determination needed to succeed. And with this, I realized Mother's why is really, really strong, because even with that, like, her why is keeping her strong. Her why, that God's dream, like, her why is God, and there's nothing more powerful than God, and like, nothing's more powerful than that specific why. If your why is God, then you can overcome anything. And even while she is in detention center, she hasn't complained about, get me out of here, get me the best lawyers, and she could probably do that. But like Sunmi was saying, like Uncle Julian Gray as he was mentioning, that why she would do whatever it takes for God's dream to be realized. And she even says that the truth, it will be revealed. And so the whole point of this movement is God. We're uniting together, uniting the world in order for us to become one with God. And Mother had said, I ask you to join me in building a peaceful world of one human family. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what they've been trying to do from the beginning. That's what God has been trying to do from the beginning. And so just being in Korea, I realized, listening to different people, there's a lot going on. And anything you say and do will be recorded or used against you, literally. And so, and that's why I came to understand that there are things that cannot be shared with us at this time, because whatever is said could be used. And I realized that True Mother needs people she can trust right now. The people she trusted absolutely did fulfill their part. And I cannot even imagine how painful that would be, trusting someone absolutely, trusting people absolutely, only for things to go, a different direction afterwards. And so I realized True Mother needs people she can trust. And being at the Chonchimwon, that was really moving. The devotion, that really moved me, because on actually Thursday night was our first time in Chongpyeong with the prayer vigil, and there were a lot of young people there, both nights. And these are people who are supporting True Mother. I mean, there were also like it's everyone, right? But the number of young people showing support to True Mother was really moving, praying in absolute unity, trying to connect with her, trying to fight for her. It's not just a physical. There's more to it. It's not just a physical battle. It's also a spiritual battle that she's fighting and we're fighting, and yeah, and we need to fight it together, not just like her on her own, but as one family. We wouldn't leave our mother detained in this really miserable space and say, things will work out. We don't know, right? But as long as you do something about it in whatever capacity, then spirit worlds can work. Then True Father can move, because the spirit world, those in spirit worlds need physical beings, physical bodies, in order for them to act in any way. And so, however you show up would work, right? So I want to leave you with this question: how do you want to show up, and what is your why? Find that why and move with purpose. Thank you.